sweet tickets to send your way. Leinster versus Munster at Viva Stadium this Saturday, 6 o'clock kick-off there, and we've a pair of these bad boys to give away this morning on. So I think we'll just send us in your comments, question or comment for Quinny, anything rugby related that appears on our channels this morning on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. We're going to put you in the hat for a pair of these tickets for the game tomorrow. So that's where we're going with that. Let's tell you what's going on across the back pages this morning. We're going to start with the Irish Examiner. I did mention there are two stories that dominate the headlines this morning, and that one there is certainly one of them that's across almost all the pages today. Keane and Able is the reflections of the Irish Examiner here. Kerry up for a fresh voice, and they hand ex-minor manager keys to the kingdom. So this is Peter Keane has been announced as a new Kerry football manager, and James Horan, he will be announced, it looks like, on Monday night, and James Horan is returning to the Mayo job. So that has actually been confirmed in a pretty interesting backroom staff too, which it seems, according to Mike Frenity, who's reporting across a lot of the sports pages this morning, that Ciara MacDonald could be a part of that team. But we have a resident Kerry football expert in the house, so who is Peter Keane, Eoin?
Peter Keane, as you said there, he's come from the minor job. He's won the last 3 of the 5 in a row with this great minor All-Ireland winning team. So he's well familiar with some of the lads that are going to be coming through to the Kerry setup over the next couple of years. The appointment would suggest that this is sort of a long-term deal, that this is what Eamon Fitzmaurice was supposed to be when he signed that deal until 2020 last year, that he does have until 2020, 2021 to actually get a team in order that's able to challenge for multiple titles, to get back to the level that Kerry were 10 years ago, where they were considered the favourites every single year for the All-Ireland. And, you know, maybe the landscape will change where they just need to be in the top 2 every single year. We will see. He's come from, I think it's fair to say he's had a meteoric rise as a manager. He first really broke onto the national consciousness, I think, in 2011 when he was managing St Mary's to win a junior All-Ireland club title, which was a fantastic achievement for them. They had plummeted, really, like with rural depopulation and all that, and it really hampered places like Harrisaveen, which is Peter Keane's hometown.
That's where St Mary's are from, is it?
Exactly, yeah. So he brought them back to, granted it was only a junior All-Ireland title, but the fact that he had brought some sort of happiness on a footballing term back to South Kerry again, because let's not forget, it was only 15 years ago at the peak of the Celtic Tiger when South Kerry was the heartbeat of Kerry football. So he helped bring that back. He then went into Killarney to manage Killarney Legion, James O'Donoghue's club, and got them to a county final in 2015. They were up against South Kerry, ironically. They drew in the first game and then lost in the replay. Winning that county title would have been amazing, and everybody would have sort of got to know Peter Keane, I reckon, at that point a lot quicker, but they lost there in the end. That could be a key component of this, his relationship with James O'Donoghue. The James O'Donoghue whisperer, if we could call him that, would be reason enough to give a man a job for the Kerry role alone.
A word locally that there's a good relationship there, and because obviously James O'Donoghue was a guy who was marked for greatness a few years ago and has had his injury issues and that sort of stuff.
But there would have had to have been, because Legion really haven't been anywhere near that level. Like, they got absolutely destroyed by Dr. Crokes last weekend with still a lot of the same talent. Now, granted, 2015, you're just coming off, you've got James O'Donoghue, Player of the Year from the previous year, coming into the 2015 championship, so that's different, but maybe that relationship will help, because he is so key if Kerry are going to do anything in the short term. But then he goes into the minor setup. Jack O'Connor had won 2 in a row, 2014, 2015. Peter Keane takes up the mantle, wins 2016, 17, 18. To be honest with you, I think the whole holistic approach would have been that Eamon Fitzmaurice would have seen his job out till 2020, and then Peter Keane in the interim might have had 1 year maybe with the under-20s maybe in the year 2020, and then after Fitzmaurice might have been in a position to take it up. Obviously, that didn't happen. Things have changed, and it was actually thought that Peter Keane was initially the front runner, then dropped out of being the front runner, and Maurice Fitzgerald was going to get the job. Now, something has happened this week. Either Maurice Fitzgerald has dropped out of the running, or he's going to be involved in the backroom setup for Peter Keane.
It seems as if both of those things might be the case, and according to Tony Lean at the Examiner this morning, that he's just taken up a new role as a principal of a school, and that might actually be a serious drain on his time, in a way that Peter Keane, as you say, has a super value, who was in the ad with Bernard Brogan. You were saying that.
Yeah, I'm not sure was he with Bernard Brogan in the same ad, but certainly he's appeared on a Super Value television ad. He runs PKs in Killorglin, which is it's probably the most famous Super Value in all of Kerry. So he's well stacked.
Straight out of Father Ted.
Like, he cares a lot about the business. His inter-county career, really, I can remember it kind of was cut short because he was such a businessman. Right. He just couldn't have the dedication for inter-county football. I'd be interested to see how he now kind of manages his time now that he's going to have the biggest thief in his time now over the next couple of years.
Yeah, Tony Lean is sort of suggesting that he might have the capacity to delegate a little bit now in terms of that business, and you know where Maurice Fitz might not necessarily going into such a massive role. He does mention Tony Buckley going in as one of the coaches, and Tony Lean that is, and talks about you know a best coach around, as he puts it, in the areas that Kerry are suspect in: defensive shape, the tackle, and turning over the ball.
That's a key component in all of this. I will wait until it's actually ratified on Monday night to see the backroom team and all of it set up. The suggestion this morning is that it is going to be Donny Buckley, Maurice Fitzgerald and Tommy Griffin in the backroom team. Tommy Griffin has worked with Peter Keane at minor level, an excellent appointment. Maurice Fitzgerald, ordinarily I would say it's an excellent appointment if the suggestion is true that he didn't want the managerial role because he's too busy with the principal job. Well, is he going to have enough time to be a selector in an inter-county setup is my question. The thing is, that's just a suggestion. Granted, it's not nowhere near as big a job, especially in terms of the time that you dedicate to it as manager role. But then on the Donny Buckley thing, there was a suggestion that Peter Keane was out of the running because he wanted to bring in his own strength and conditioning team. And the deal breaker for Maurice Fitzgerald, or deal clincher I should say, was that he was willing to work with Donny Buckley. Now there's no kind of history at all of animosity between Peter Keane and Donny Buckley. Maybe he just wanted to do his own thing. What we did know is that Jack O'Connor and Donny Buckley could not work together, and therefore Jack O'Connor was out of the running. So it's clearly of vital importance for this Kerry County Board that Donny Buckley is involved. So I would be surprised if he wasn't on the ticket. Also of vital importance is just this appointment as a whole. This is the most important managerial appointment in the history of Kerry GAA. They've never had as many young players destined for greatness, and to actually take them on this path and bring them in a way that'll hopefully take them back to some sort of prominence. Like, there is so much pressure on this guy now. It is a huge, huge appointment, and good luck to the man is all you can say, because it's not an easy job even when Kerry are in the doldrums, but certainly now they're expected to win an All-Ireland in the next 2-3 seasons, let's say, and pressure is on. Yeah,
it's almost a bit of a left field appointment from a Kerry point of view, because I mean, it's maybe Jack O'Connor sort of is a similar sort of mould, but they generally tend to be sort of Kerry legends with 5 All-Irelands and household names around the country, so it's a bit different from that point of view. And obviously he's a guy who's, as you said, the importance of it, but he's worked with that group of stars that have come up over the last few years as well. So,
well, the thing on the inter-county legends now is that there is a role for them somewhere. Like Maurice Fitzgerald will be involved there. We obviously see J.O. involved with Jim Gavin, and Kieran MacDonald potentially involved in the next Mayo setup, which is sort of a trend coming through. There's definitely a role for them somewhere in the camp, this sort of aura that they bring to a team. Maybe not as the totemic figure running the whole thing, unless they're very, very talented as a manager, but certainly there's a role for them somewhere in all these setups.
Yeah, and there's like a whole bunch of Kerry players that are retired over the last few years that might have something to put back into it as well, you know, like even over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. It's probably less the Gooches or the Donaghys. They'll have a few years to go yet if they are going to sort of go down that path, but the
Moss O'Shea has voiced interest one day.
Absolutely. Declan Sullivan, like these sort of lads, you assume that they've some sort of a role to play down the track. It is, as I said, story along with the Martin O'Neill, Declan Rice press conference yesterday, if we can call it that, dominates a lot of the back pages. O'Neill insists that family want Rice to choose Ireland after a day of confusion. We'll get into that in a little bit. And keen to get keys of kingdom as Horan seals 4-year Mayo term, and that is a picture of, as Eoin said, the finest super value in all of the land. They're the beautiful bread section by the looks of things. It's
beautiful deli. Like, you should try those sausage rolls.
That's like the donuts. Oh, good sausage rolls, yeah. So like heavy pastry and not so much sausage, or what's the mix? Because that's what I find is the key to a good sausage roll.
It's just pure freshness. It would almost crumble in your hand.
But what's the ratio of sausage to pastry?
God, I'm just trying to think certainly not too much pastry.
I'm looking for specifics now. Like,
I know you are, but I'm just trying to, I don't want to give you...
Is it a 50-50 split? What are you thinking?
50-50 would be, it would be a bit more on the sausage, about 2-to-1 sausage to pastry, not that sort of wafer sort of crispiness to pastry. There's substance in it, despite the fact that there isn't as much of it compared to the sausage.
We didn't talk about James Horan, and he's obviously somebody who we've had close contact with over the last while when he's been in doing punditry for Off the Ball over the last 4 years. So yeah, he gets another crack at it. It seems pretty obvious. I was actually thinking about it last night, and he's the sort of guy who's come in now for a second term. You can see him doing his 4 years. You can see him bouncing out for a few more years and then coming back in for a third term almost. I mean,
you're getting ahead of yourself
there.
It
will depend on how this things go, but you know, he's a forward thinker. He's a guy who's definitely, he's been at games for us and for Sky over the last number of years. He will be keeping his hand in that regard. He's smart, he's shrewd, he's... I was looking at the sort of crop of players that were there, and then some of the players, there's not like a huge amount of players actually that have come in really over the 4 years that he's been away. Dermot O'Connor obviously lands very successfully in 2015, which would have been just post that. Paddy Durkin, Stephen Cohn, James Durkin, Conor Loftus, who hasn't really nailed on a sort of first team position.
And Eoin O'Donoghue this year as well.
Right.
One of the unheralded stars, because they didn't get to Croke Park in a meaningful way. They didn't get to Croke Park at all this year. What am I talking about? So there's a couple of more. There was a little kind of chinks of hope there for Mayo throughout the summer that haven't been fully exploited or haven't been fully brought into the public consciousness. So they're not in as bad a place in terms of the conveyor belt as a lot of people think. The question I would have, and it's not a bad question, it's actually quite a positive question, is when you look at Mayo over the last couple of years, the biggest leap they've ever made in this decade is under James Horan. He took them to the place where they were consistently challenging for All-Ireland titles. Now, the question is with Holmes and Kennelly, obviously they went extremely close. Stephen Rochford went extremely close. But the thing is, the leap that they made from James Horan was actually quite small. Now, granted, there wasn't a huge leap to be made, but you do wonder if James Horan goes back in and they can make another bounce. Yeah. Is that the bounce required to then win an All-Ireland? That is a question I would have, and maybe it is. Maybe this is exactly what Mayo needs.
Thing is, and I think it's a fair observation, they've regressed, you know, like you can't say that they've regressed since that time. Like they haven't won a Connacht final, I don't think, at any point, Connacht title at any point over the last few years. They've obviously didn't get as far as the...
But they've got closer than ever. You would have to say that Stephen Rochford
they didn't,
in 2016, 2017.
On the evidence of recent history, they obviously didn't get as far as Super 8s last season. That's a huge blow to a country like Mayo with the ambitions that they'd have. And actually, where are they in the overall pecking order of the power rankings of Gaelic football at the minute? Like, I think that's a perfectly valid question in terms of the level of improvement can't be, as you rightly say, as it was when Horan came in at the start, because they were nowhere to add like absolute All-Ireland contenders.
Not in the conversation.
So they're not that far back. I mean, they're behind Dublin, they're behind Tyrone, they're behind Kerry. The evidence of recent history against Galway, I think they've beaten them the last 3 times they've played, so you couldn't suggest that they're ahead of Galway at this stage. The Kildare thing you could probably write off as a bit of a one-off, but they're probably, you know, 5, 6 in that power ranking.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm the one sticking up for Mayo here, but I disagree with that. I really think that they are still the team best poised to beat Dublin. I think they're going to beat Galway in the Connacht Championship next year. James Horan is a Connacht Championship specialist.
Where's the recent evidence for that?
Well, I think the fact that they have been clearly the best team after Dublin in the country over the last 3-4 seasons.
No, but 12 months is a long time in Gaelic football.
But let's, like, when they challenged Dublin in 2017, let's not forget the backdoor path that they had that year when they came so close. Absolutely, they should have been knocked out twice that summer. But yet, they proved that once they got to Croke Park, where they almost got knocked out again by Roscommon, let's not forget, and then the following week on that Bank Holiday Monday, absolutely pulverised Roscommon and then went through to the All-Ireland final.
So are you saying that Mayo are ahead of Galway in the power rankings?
Yes.
Even though Galway have beaten them the last 3 times they've played?
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
In terms of where if you base it all on 2018, Galway have had a better year than 2018. In terms of the players poised to win an All-Ireland, if we're putting power rankings based on who is the most likely to win an All-Ireland, Mayo are ahead of Galway.
I'm interested to hear what you've got to say.
I can't believe I'm sticking up for Mayo here.
I mean, you and me both. Right, the Times Ireland edition, it's reflections on Celtic's defeat last night in the Europa League. Keane steps up to seniors, as we've been discussing with Peter Keane, and Rice to make final decision by Christmas. We'll have more of that in just a few minutes with Eoin, who's going to get stuck into the tabloids.
I think we've got the Martin O'Neill audio, actually, if you want to have a listen to that.
Yeah, I want to have a listen. Go for it.
Young man, I think you should. You're in contact with your group. You should know.
Yeah, I knew nothing about it.
Did you not?
No.
You didn't know anything about it.
No, I didn't know anything.
Oh, remarkable! And you're on the show.
I can show you. I got an email at about 13 minutes to 12, I think. So 15 minutes after you finished the press conference. Okay, so
what has been said then?
What has been said is that papers have been prepared, and that.
And where's this coming from? Is it coming from the FAI?
Well,
not from the FAI, but from the FA?
I don't know where it's coming from. Our reporter Rob Dorset is the one who broke out.
You'll understand then until you get the story. Then I can't really comment on it. You know, all I can do is reiterate what I've said in the room for the last hour. You know, and what I said to you was exactly how I felt about it, and that's until Guy and his crew get it sorted out. Then I have to say the same. You know?
Martin, I was assuming you'll go and talk to Declan this afternoon or his family.
If Guy gets the story, you know, I should put the pressure onto this young man, you know, because it's his mob that are running it, you know. So at the end of the day, get the story out, get it correct. Okay.
Get it correct. You don't think it is correct then, as far as you're concerned? You don't think the story is correct?
I would be a bit surprised at this minute. I'd be surprised. Okay.
At this minute?
I'd be surprised. Nothing surprises me in this life, but I'd be a bit surprised at that their particular story. Okay.
Yeah, as much as my car not starting this morning was very much the lowlight of today, that piece yesterday on was absolutely my highlight of the day. Martin O'Neill interviewing the guy from Sky Sports was unbelievable stuff. Literally interviewed him.
It really was. It's pure, like, that's just sort of one of those moments that you're watching and you're like, reeling in the ears right there. I'm going to be watching this moment. It just had a sense of drama around it, even if the whole story itself may feel like a storm in a teacup in a little while, even if we do lose Declan Rice, which looks like the likely scenario. There was just something ominous about how Martin O'Neill finished that, as in, I'd be surprised. There's not a smug nature, there's a knowing tone to what Martin O'Neill is saying there.
I was talking to John Giles about this last night, which is not a comment you get to make every day of the week. And my point to John was that I would want, if we're hell-bent, and we are, on getting Declan Rice to come and play for Ireland, I would want Martin O'Neill in my corner rather than Gareth Southgate. I can easily see how he walks into the Rice household and wins the room and wins him over straight away.
Yeah, gifted a gab. Like they're very... I would say that the Gareth Southgate is persuasive in a very different way.
Absolutely.
But sort of like the guidance counsellor sitting down and trying to see what sort of points you're going for in your CAO.
Engineering's for you.
Exactly. Whereas Martin O'Neill is like, you know...
I can make you a superstar.
Exactly. It's like, you don't need to go down the CAO route. Like, that's where we'll leave that analogy, I think. It's different. It's like, definitely. And the humour that Martin O'Neill brings, I thought that exchange was brilliant yesterday. We've criticised Martin O'Neill for some of the jokes he makes in press conferences and stuff, and maybe his humour is not for everyone, but I thought he just kind of navigated that little situation brilliantly yesterday. And everything he says, I kind of buy that he will be surprised that this happens, that he was kind of a little bit taken aback by the report from Sky Sports yesterday that Declan Rice had pledged his allegiance to the England football team. And I'm a lot more hopeful than I was 24 hours ago. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, hopeful was the key word that kept coming out yesterday, and it was impressive because he had literally just walked out of another press conference where it hadn't come up into this one, where people had started saying, okay, Sky are now saying this thing happened, and he had to respond to it off the hoof, and I thought it was... I was pretty impressed by it.
Yeah.
The Racing Post this morning, it's a bit of a preview of the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, is what's going on there. That takes place over the weekend, and it's all about whether Enable can get it done or not, and a pretty poor draw for the second favourite, Sea of Class. Stall 15 is the story that dominates the Racing Post this morning. And finally, the Irish Times... yes, I had to look at the date on this one, I have to say, when I picked it up this morning. Messi leaves Spurs toiling on a lower plane of sporting reality, reflecting on Wednesday nights.
Wednesday was Barcelona Spurs, yeah.
Champions League action there on the Irish Times sports section. Glazers' 13-year ownership of United has left the club struggling also, from David Kahn on the lower half there. And the Irish News as well, just to bring you this story here, we just wanted to mention Walsh worried about boxing's future, and this is obviously in relation to its future participation in the Olympics. Olympic absence would see amateur game die a death. It's already certainly not in the position that it was in a few years ago, and Billy Walsh down in the Irish News concerned to its future.
Back page of the Irish Daily Mail this morning says, cap in hand, England come for Rice with a big promise. That's David Sned and Philip Quinn's story, and minor kingpin Keane to be named Kerry boss. Deeply concerned by the disturbing claim then, what Nike said about their golden boy. Full story there in the inside. Ronaldo, Nike and EA Sports both voicing concerns. Juventus backing their star in a couple of statements released yesterday evening. On the back page of the Herald, it's a family affair now. Declan's dad and brothers are on our side, says O'Neill. Keane gets Kerry job while Horan is in for Mayo. And Richard Dunn's column says Rice looks a lost cause for Irish. Back page then of the Mirror is Rice dream. Ireland boss believes West Ham star's family want player to pick Ireland over England, which is the sort of hope here. Is the family of Declan Rice going to be persuasive enough to actually move Declan Rice into an Ireland? Like, are they pushy parents, basically?
Well, it seems like the whole family is saying, dude, play for Ireland.
But are they? Are they like saying, you know what, it'd be great if you played for Ireland, but you can make your own decision?
Well, there's a line in some of the papers this morning about his father and his brothers specifically wanting him to play for Ireland. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you just go, here, listen, will you play for Ireland? And then you leave it at that, or are you like every day, you know, sending tricolours via WhatsApp?
But ultimately, you're this fella's family. You want to see whatever makes this fella happy.
Pints of Guinness.
Green
Fields.
They do.
Skellig Vickle.
Well, you know, all those things are bringing a smile to my face this morning.
Lockery.
Yeah, absolutely. Carmen nightclub Athlone. A couple of other stories on the back of the Mirror. James and Pete chasing Dubs. Red Bull gives you a beating. And also players turn on negative Jose. It's an exclusive here by David Anderson reporting that Jose Mourinho's lost a number of key players in the dressing room. Now, the back page of the Sun this morning is what the deck. Rice confusion but no resolution. Peter Keane for Kingdom, a win for Arsenal, a win for Chelsea, Juve backing Ronaldo and Martin O'Neill there as well. I just want to show the front page of the Sun this morning. Fight Club reads the headline. Connor's son won, outshines dad in €470 outfit. So they show a picture of Connor Jr. here, who was at the open workout yesterday. His Dolce & Gabbana outfit, the top cost €65. The three-quarter lengths cost €186 and the shoes cost €218. He's got a good get-up, and Fight Club is tab of the morning to you, best headline.
I was wondering because I thought Rice Dream was certainly in the mix.
It was until he put like a kid in the front who's wearing like almost €500 worth of gear.
Yeah.
You didn't know that Connor's son was called Connor until this morning.
This morning I was flabbergasted.
Back page of the Irish Daily Star is bromance. O'Neill banks on Rice's brothers to keep him green, and chaotic day as talk of England decision unfounded. And finally, back page of The Guardian this morning is England's 21st century boy. He is dominating the back pages across the water this morning. It's Jadon Sancho. He's the first in the squad to be born this millennium. He is the Borussia Dortmund wunderkind, to use a German term for
I love where you're going with that, yeah.
And marksman Morata, striker ends drought with Chelsea winner, is the picture there in the back of The Guardian.
It's 8:20 on this Friday morning. Delighted to have you along with us. Lots of comments coming in. We'll bring some of those your way in a little bit. Stephen Walker says, very simply, morning lads on Facebook. Good morning to you, Stephen. Craig Breen is a guy that we have checked in with from time to time. We're going to do exactly that now. The Day Insure Wales Rally GB cranks into gear today. Waterford's Craig Breen still awaiting his maiden victory in a round of the World Rally Championship for a Citroën Total Abu Dhabi WR team.
High off the ball, yeah, so the rally started tonight here. We had a relatively good run on the stage. We were one of the first cars, actually the first small rally car to start the stage, so it cleaned up a lot afterwards, and some of the other times got faster, but still just a handful of seconds off the lead of the rally, starting the proper stages tomorrow, so we're really looking forward to it. One of my favourite rallies here. The stages are in great shape, and we're ready to give it hammer and tongs for the next couple of days and see what happens.
Yeah, Craig Breen in Wales ahead of this weekend's Rally Championship. He's also describing it as his home rally as well, so let's hope he can go well for this weekend. I'm sure we'll hear from him post that as well. Stephanie Meadow, the Irish golfers, regained meanwhile her LPGA Tour card this week. A great achievement for her. Golf Weekly spoke to her a few months ago, you might remember, and she had a lot to say, Nathan, in conversation with her. It was particularly interesting to hear her speak about the impact that losing her father had on her career. The full interview over on YouTube, but here's a short clip.
Yeah, so I did that, and then, but I kept battling, played, but I just wasn't there. Like mentally, I was physically there, but mentally just not the same person, and that took a long time.
Golf must be one of the most difficult sports as well then, when you're getting back on track, to get that balance right, because you say it's such a mental game and you're so close to your dad and he's so intertwined in everything that's happened in your career that you want to go out and do it for him, but actually having that emotion,
it's hard,
isn't really the best thing to have with you when you're teeing it up in a golf course.
Yeah, it's just a constant reminder. And that was the hardest part for me. Was golf was the biggest reminder of my dad, and I couldn't focus. But you know, I started to look at it and say, okay, well, this is great that I had that connection with my dad on the golf course, and I can feel close to him when I'm out there and use that in a positive way, instead of, you know, being absolutely completely torn up about it. You know, the pain, it's always there, it's always hard, but it does get a little easier.
Yeah, and definitely a bit easier when you regain your LPGA card as well. So congratulations to Stephanie Meadow. OTB AM is live with Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products. So it is 23 minutes past 8 on this Friday morning. Will O'Callaghan, a very good morning to you.
Morning, lads.
We've been discussing the big developments across all the back pages this morning, but big news from GEA.
Yeah, James Horan last night appointed. He says he can't wait to be working again with the Mayo senior footballers. It's 4 years on from ending his spell in charge. The Ballintubber man has been handed a new 4-year term to succeed Stephen Rochford. His management team will be concluded by Ballycastle's Daniel Ford, Martin Barrett of Kiltane and Arndary Sarsfield's James Burke. During his previous spell, Horan led Mayo to back-to-back All-Ireland finals in 2012 and 2013. As you were discussing on the papers, Wayne Kearns was confirmed as the new Louth senior football manager as well. The former minor boss succeeds Pete McGrath, who stepped down after less than a year in charge. The Cork hurling manager John Myler is hoping they can go a couple of steps further in 2019. The back-to-back Munster champions lost out in the semi-finals for the second year in a row, losing to eventual champions Limerick after extra time this term. I spoke to the Wexford native last night and he's already looking ahead to next year's campaign. John, I guess 2018 was the case of so near yet so far when you reflect back on that semi-final.
Look, 6 points up with 8 minutes to go, and an opportunity to get into an All-Ireland final, and well done to Limerick. They got 7 single points in a row, and after extra time we were out on our knees in the dressing room. So, and we really didn't drive on with that 8 minutes to go. So that's something which we have to learn and to put right for 2019, and no doubt we will.
But still, it shows that you were right there in the final straights against the eventual All-Ireland champions. It was a big step on from a heavy semi-final defeat against Waterford 12 months previously.
Yeah, there has been a huge improvement in 2018, there's no doubt about that, and we were missing a couple of players that had a huge role in 2017. Alan Caddick and Stephen MacDonald played big parts in 2017. So we welcome the two of those back into the panel now for 2019. We need to look for a few more players to try and add more value, more experience, that to strengthen our squad again, and we were close, but Limerick had that extra little edge going all year, and composure and that, and we're worthy winners in the end.
You're battle hardened though, after this year that's just gone by. That Munster championship was a hell of a championship to come through and win.
It was a hell of a championship to win, but if you think that was one, what about 2019? And you have 2 new managers, Pádraig Fanning in Waterford and Liam Sheedy in Tipperary. They're going to bring enormous experience to their counties. Clare and Limerick are there as well, and ourselves. So look, Munster's going to be extremely competitive in 2019, starting on the 12th of May here against Tipperary, and then the following week against Limerick. So the supporters will be looking forward to those games, but there's not really a puck of the ball between the 5 teams in Munster, so you need to take your opportunities on the day.
The fixtures computer, I suppose, 3 of the 2 most difficult fixtures possible, really, to start with.
Well, really, that's look, playing Tip here in your first game, that's really what you want. You know what's coming. Sheedy is coming to Cork to try and get 2 points for Tip. We need to get 2 points for Cork, and that's really it. So, you'll be focused on that game straight away. There's no doubt about that.
And John Myler was speaking at the announcement of Chill Insurance 2-year extension as the sponsor of the Cork senior and under 21 teams. It'll run through until 2020 and is worth 7 figures to Cork. Nike, meanwhile, say they're deeply concerned by the disturbing allegations facing Cristiano Ronaldo. The Juventus forward is facing a civil case which has been filed by a woman who alleges she was raped by him at a hotel in Las Vegas back in 2009. The criminal case into the matter was also reopened in Nevada this week. Ronaldo is denying the allegations which have been made against him, and his club Juventus last night offered their public support in a series of tweets. Nike, however, and EA Sports, of which he's also the cover star for FIFA 19, say that they will continue to closely monitor the situation there. On the field tonight, Dundalk can be crowned SSE Airtricity League Premier Division champions. The Lily Whites are on the verge of their 4th crown in 5 years. Dundalk are 12 points ahead of Cork City at the top of the table with 4 games to play. It means a draw against St Pat's tonight will be enough to secure the crown. Cork make the trip to Tallaght to face 3rd place Shamrock Rovers this evening. Bohemians welcome European hopefuls Waterford to Dalymount, and Limerick entertain Derry. Ulster and Connacht will meet at Kingspan Ravenhill tonight, with both looking to recover from defeats last week. Jacob Stockdale and captain Rory Best make their first appearances of the season for Ulster. Jared Butler and Matt Healy are back in the Connacht side. Connacht haven't won in Belfast for 58 seasons. Kick-off tonight is at 25-8. And both Padraig Harrington and Paul McGinley are just a shot off the lead following the opening day of the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship. They're 3 under par after shooting rounds of 69 at Kings Barnes. They go to Carnoustie today, and that is the scene of Harrington's win, Adrian, in the Open back in 2007.